Hello, my name is Ren, and this is Grinch Granny. My whole workspace area looks a lot crazier right now, but it's because I'm in the middle of probably way too many projects. I fell down the YouTube rabbit hole of watching a bunch of people's videos, and I feel super inspired. And this video is inspired completely by Cori Dahmen, Creating with Scraps, her ScrapBusters series. I think I had originally started at maybe 17 or 15, and then as I kept watching, realized, oh, well, she keeps mentioning previous videos, so I needed to start this from the beginning, and then very intensely binged the whole thing. And I loved watching it because even though I've been making a lot of things for a really long time, there's a lot of things in there that I do already make or was making my own way that I might still continue to make in my own way. I loved hearing how somebody else went about the process of making these things, and then realized that, like, oh, that's a thing that's really helpful for me, is hearing why people make these choices. And I want to be better at doing that also. And I think it's because I always make this assumption that, oh, people are going to do these things the way that they think is best, or that they'll naturally, like, oh, I'm going to follow, my own thought process and my own, what is it called? Whenever you try a thing and you see if it messes up, experimenting, I guess, but there's another word for it, but I'm not gonna go down there trying to figure it out. Yeah, I felt really inspired, I felt really motivated. The series is officially done, and then I was like, okay, it's time. It's time for me to try and make my own now. I had already been making books, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I like to make books in general. I have, if I make junk journals, I usually make them blank. I don't add all the little pockets and things like that, or at least I never had before, because for me personally, I've always wanted to be the person who made the pockets and put things into my books, so I didn't want somebody else to do that for me. And then I realized that, like, oh, but it is kind of like, it's kind of like a little book of mystery where you're just like, what are all the secret compartments? And I watch Chris Ramsey's puzzle videos all the time, and that's always the thing, is like, what's gonna come apart? What's gonna open up? What's gonna come out of this? And I felt like that while watching her videos, and so I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Because previously I was just making a ton of ephemera, but I'd never put them into a book before. And then realized as I was doing that, oh, this is actually a really important part of the creative process, because me figuring out what goes where and how the page will look, and then how the page will look with the full spread, and then how the book will look cohesively is an important part of this process. And there's this, what is it? It's a productivity tip about, like, minimalizing your decisions every day so that the most important decisions get their full time, because basically you only have so much mind power to make so many decisions in a day. And that's how come they say, like, minimalize your closet, or like stick to eating the same things every day, or meal plan, so that you're not adding that stress to yourself every day of having to make those decisions. And I had started to make this book and realized also that when I was starting to make it, I am a person, I need to mass make things. Because before I was making things as I went along for each page specifically. And I was like, this is taking a really long time, because I'm having to, like, find each individual piece for each thing, and then thought, okay, yeah, I can't do that. What I need to do instead is come up with, like, at least a cohesive color palette, and pick out all the papers that I might want to use to make things with, and then just use that. And then from there, it won't matter if it's a tag or a pocket or a tuck or a belly band or a little flip book or a matchbook. It won't matter, because it will all match. And then seeing, okay, well, how much weight is on this page? Like, is noticing already as I'm going through it that, like, okay, it's a little heavy on this side, so I want to add some things here. It's a little heavy on this side, I want to add some things here. And I showed in this video, I show making the cover, making the signatures, and then how I didn't show the attaching because I just used a pamphlet stitch, but I can in another one because I'm going to be making more. And then I show the flip through of where I was when I was recording. So I think I had only done the cover, the front page, and then pages 2 and 3. And I am having a lot of fun with this process. And then through this experience, I've also started keeping absolutely every single piece of paper trash, because I am learning a lot more about mixed media art. I already love mixed media art. I've already done a lot of mixed media art, but I'm learning different techniques and finding my goal is to find more ways to utilize trash. This book is a part of that, of all these paper scraps, finding different ways that I could use smaller scraps that I thought maybe weren't usable anymore, but they are, using all the trash that comes from this to come up with another piece. Well, my battery died and I didn't even notice that it was dying, so sorry about that. I'm not entirely sure where it cut off, and I tried to watch it back, but I can't really remember even what I was saying because of the panic of my battery dying. So, basically, Cori Dahmen, creating with scraps, feel super inspired by it. I'm trying to utilize more trash, trying to use all the scraps and trash from that project to go ahead and make some new mixed media art pieces. I did not show the stitching of this book, but it was just a pamphlet stitch. I think I said those things, and I think that part got recorded. I'm worried now, but it's okay. Because mistakes happen, and if there's something that I want to make sure that I don't cover up, because I don't want to cover up my mistakes. Meaning, like, just own them. Just own your mistakes. Which brings me on to another thing, which is the final part. This is I guess the official intro for the channel. But this is Grunge Granny. I make videos talking about mental health and working on being authentic and mindful through creativity, learning about ourselves through creativity. And an example I'll give is because I totally had this epiphany while I was working on this book, is that I feel bad whenever I have a little piece of scrap or a little piece of trash that I do throw away. So I don't like to throw things away at all. I definitely like to see how much life I can continue to get out of anything before ever trying to just toss it or recycle it. And I was realizing how deeply personal that was, because it was this thought process of like, oh, like someone would think you were trash, and I know I look like I'm probably kind of bonkers by keeping all of this trash, but you just have so much potential, and I see all these things that you could become. And then thought like, oh no, this is a thing that happened because of childhood. This is probably related to my trauma somehow. But it's something that I do know that I'm good at. I know that I have, and I'm just always improving. I can remember things that I made in high school where I was like, well, just making things out of trash. And sometimes, I'm not saying that I'm like Cori Dahmen good or anything, but there's definitely times where I've gone back and looked at stuff I've made that I don't have anymore, because I usually just either sell it or get rid of it, and get rid of it I mean by give it away. If something doesn't sell, I end up usually giving it away because I feel like, oh, I guess nobody wants to buy it, but it's okay. But and then I just forget about it. Like, I forget that was a thing I made, and then years will go by and I'll look at a picture and then remember that I made something and be really proud of my past self for what she did back there. And I feel like that I want to be able to treat my artwork and the things that I create like they're special in the moment, and not wait years before I treat it like it's something that I'm proud of. Because that is a part of intention, right? It's just loving it and giving something that you create and make full of love, and being proud of all these little trash pieces that got to live a new life as something else. So that is something that I'm working on. I might record some of that process because I do have a lot of scraps from making this book, and I think as I continue to make this book, I'm just gonna have more scraps. And I think I'm gonna use some of it to make more ephemera, but anything that I cannot repurpose into more ephemera for a book is going to go into some mixed media art projects that I'm pretty stoked about. All right. So if all of that sounds good to you, please like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment if you have any questions. If you want to see the process of me making any of these things, please let me know. I didn't record the filling of the pages, partially because at that point my family was all home and it gets kind of chaotic and it's a lot harder to record. But I also didn't because Cori Dahmen does have it's 17 videos of how she created all of the ephemera bits inside the books, 2 videos of how she made the covers, 1 video of how she attached the signatures, and then I think it's another video of attaching the spine to the covers with the signatures, and then it's, I think, 4 videos of her putting in all that ephemera from the first 17 into the book. And one of the things, I gotta say this, because one of the things that I appreciated so much about her just real-time working on the pockets, the tucks, the little booklets, and the spines, and the cover, and the stitching, she just recorded it all real-time, no time lapse, no speed-ups, is that I felt like finally people will understand how long it takes to make a book like this. I've made this kind of thing before and like tried to sell them for like 30 bucks and then ended up not, and then realized like I'll just give this away as a gift. And in that situation it was more because I couldn't even begin to figure out how to price something like that. And I ended up I was like, I would rather just give this to somebody who would love it than try to even wrap my head around how I'm gonna price this and how much I should price this for, because that is always such a challenge. But her doing this video series, and granted she's not making things the entire time and she is going through the process a little bit slower so that she can explain everything, but if we say that that is what, 17, 20, 24, let's say it's about 28 videos, right? And a lot of them are about 30 minutes to an hour, so 28 videos, let's say 14 hours, and that's not including price of materials. But 14 hours, just to split it in half, just to assume that she actually works like, I don't know, twice as fast as that, I don't know. It's just wild to think about how, like 14 hours giving yourself a living wage, not a minimum wage, because why would we do that to ourselves? Let's be better bosses to ourselves. But a living wage, was that 18 bucks? Yeah, so it'd be $2.52. And I asked how much the books sold for, and she priced them at $2.52, which I think is, I wonder if she did the same thing where she was like, okay, well, I'm not going to include my talking time, I'm just going to include the making time. And she did charge, she priced them for $2.50. And I had said that, she said that other people said that she should have charged more. And honestly, I kind of think so too. But I also know that if it was me, that I probably would have charged that much or less. Because I struggle so much with the value of my art and my time, and I'm working on it. And that was another reason why I thought that whole series was really inspiring for me, was to watch somebody in real time create the entire thing and then list it on a shop on Etsy, and to put it at that price where I was like, okay, so if we're going to round down on the amount of time that this took you to make this, and we're not going to include the cost of materials because you're saying that you're making this from all of your scraps, so you're not buying things to make these to sell, you know, because it's a fundraiser. She's an elementary school teacher, she teaches 5th grade, and so she just makes a couple things so that she can make some money so she can make money to get supplies for her students and extra supplies and things like that. And one of the things that I really, really appreciate is that she had said in one of her videos that she got a lot of DMs from people saying that they wanted to buy a book, or they wanted to commission her for a book, and requesting early, and that she already has a job, that this was her hobby, and that she did this for fun, and that she didn't want it to feel like a job ever. And also that there were a lot of other people who do make these for a living, who are trying to provide for their families by making these beautiful journals and making paper ephemera and paper crafting. and that she felt like, you know, if they really wanted to support them, that they could go ahead and do that. And I really, really appreciated that too. So I'm gonna go ahead and show this process. I already made this way too long. I did it again. I just did it too long. I just wanted to make sure I said everything that I needed to. All right, let's get into it.
So when I added my intro, I somehow messed up this clip, but I was flipping through a magazine glue book that I made after watching Nicole from Relax Cut Glue's video, and after seeing it was too thick, I went ahead and I ripped out pages, and it is the pages that I ripped out that were coffee dyed and gessoed that I went ahead and used. But when I took out those pages, it made it easier to go ahead and gesso on those. So, because I wanted to make more books that have more pockets and little fun bits in them, I went ahead and just decided to just do 3 signatures of 3. That will give it 36 total pages, if I'm right. Did I math that right? I mean, one sheet is 4 pages. So if you have 3 signatures of 3 sheets, then it's 12 pages, a signature, times 3, 36 pages. And that seems like plenty, to me, especially if we start to chunk them up. So what do I have that this can fit into? I have this ho-ho box. That's not wide enough. I've been saving these, and I think this might be what I use for them. Where'd it go? Aha! I have these veggie rotini boxes, which I think will probably work perfectly. It's just gonna be really, I don't know if I want the spine that thick. That's really thick. Like, I want to have definitely enough room. Pop, let's say about, where'd my little ruler go? I just found it, and now I've lost it. Well, here's one. So let's say this is the normal amount of space. It fills up 1 centimeter. So maybe giving it 2 centimeters? That still seems really small. How much is that in an inch? Maybe let's give it a full inch. A full 1 inch little spine. That seems to me like a lot. But I think that I would not regret making something more chunky than making something too thin. So let's go ahead and score this. So I did this so that it would be easier for me to fold on these lines, and you don't have to do it, but it helps me. I know what I can do. I'm gonna get a strip of paper. Okay, this one. Let's see, how tall is this page? About there. So I was gonna use this at first, but I like these little windows, and I wanna just use some of my trash first. What I'm doing here is going ahead and using a piece of coffee dyed cardstock and cutting it to fit my spine. That way I could give myself a template for the signatures and the holes in the spine along the book. And I can use this for a tab. Yeah, that's good. So now the question is, how do you evenly split 1 inch? Well, kind of looks like that. That's how. Ooh, yeah. Okay. So if I do that, I'm just going to use the half. So let's say, I'm going to keep those guys evenly spaced. I guess let's do it like that, so I'm not for sure. So that's about 2.5 centimeters. Yeah, it's exactly 2.5 centimeters. Oh gosh. What would be an even 3 spacing between those? So 1.75 would be the middle, right? No. What's half of 2.5? 75. No. 1.2. What? Now I'm all confused. If I have $2.50, oh my God, 125. Oh my God, that was awful. Might cut all that out because lordy. All right, so if that's the middle, then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put my 1 underneath it so I don't have to figure out more measurements. I'm just gonna do this one on this side of this line and this one on this side of this line. So what I meant was that I drew a dot where the midpoint was, and then I lined up my number 1 of the centimeter side underneath that one, and then measured out 1/2 centimeter to the left and 1/2 centimeter to the right. We have 14, so that means the middle point is 7. So we're gonna say right here. So then let's maybe 4 centimeters up, 4 centimeters down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that looks good. 7. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 little line there. Middle of this, I guess we should have it lower. Okay, yeah, it's a fit. I gotta see, this is why I was like, it gives me a little trash bag so I can just stuff all my fabric scraps right back in there. Go right back in there, because this is too much stuff on my table. I know I could use the cutting mat, but I'm already doing this, and now I'm needing to see it this way. So one here. But since I want to make this a little chunky guy, I don't want it to be too tight. And this is a way that I think will keep that from happening, will be to put them relatively far apart. Oh no, did I not make those straight? And let this part be a lesson to go ahead and just make little crissy-crossy lines and so that you know that they're straight, and then put your holes in the X's. Because we really want to utilize this little window. Grab the signature. Do this and kind of see where this ends. That. I'm just going to score it so that I know from my own notes. Like that. Let's do that one. Okay. Now I got a good scrap for a bookmark or a tab or something else. I don't know. I'll find a thing. Right there. Matching my little hole that I just made with my awl. Okay, I'm going to quickly even out this little bottom edge because it's driving me crazy. And that should be my cover. Cool. I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did with that other thing, and then I'll be back later. Okay, so at this point I'm going to be doing a voiceover until we get to the end to the flip through, which is only, again, just the flip through of the cover and pages 1, 2, and 3. My daughter was home, the family was home, and there was just no way to ensure that my sound would be consistent or that I would be able to consistently talk about things. Oh, so hang on. Right there I was showing how along the folds of that box it was starting to crack, so I started to find some scrap material that I could go ahead and lay some gel matte medium on top of. I ended up picking out this really pretty kind of light ivory chiffon. I guess I would say ivory because it's not white, but it's not cream either. I went ahead and used some Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo to brown it up. And then I got some gel matte medium and a dry brush and just stuck it on there. I tried to pull it straight so that it won't have as many wrinkles. I don't want to glue the wrinkles down, and then I gently brush out the wrinkles with the brush. For me, that's the most helpful way. I have a sewing machine, but it's one of those little mini sewing machines, and you can't do all that much with it, so it's a lot easier for me to do things by hand and just figuring out different glues. I do want to get a sewing machine, and I will be getting one. A friend of mine has an extra that I think she's going to give me, and I will probably use that a ton more later so that I can more quickly put things together without having to wait for so much to dry, because that is definitely a hassle that I have to deal with, is waiting for everything to dry. And if I have any other glue lovers out there who don't have sewing machines, then you know the struggle. And I went ahead and reinforced the inside of the spine with chiffon and gel matte medium as well. Okay, so now it's the next day, and as you can see, my desk has gotten a lot crazier. I have a lot of pre-made ephemera, and so I have it just all strewn about so that I can see it. Otherwise, I don't know really what I have until I see it. I know this looks really crazy, but I wanted to show the current progress of my Cori Dahmen Creating with Scraps inspired book. And I figure I'm gonna have to do other updates, and let me know if you want to see how I did it. For the most part, I think it's a lot of what she said, but it's also a combination of things that other people have said, slash a combination of things that I've just done on my own. So So this is the cover. It was made out of one of these boxes. Just a Barilla veggie rotini box. And I put some paper there. I did put some chiffon and gel matte medium over the top because the edges were getting really rough. And then I used a pamphlet stitch, a 3-hole pamphlet stitch to put in the signatures. As you can see, there are 3 signatures. And I wanted to keep it pretty small, signature-wise, because I wanted to make this one chunky. So, first cover, inside cover. Let's move some of this so I can lay this down a little flat. Inside cover, I have a junk mail pocket with my scraps that I made another little card for. I have the ribbon on top, which kind of doubles as a stopper. These are some die cuts that I had. This is from an old paper bag, an old tag from back when I bought tags to use for pricing, and with a little bitty collage of some coffee dye tracing paper. This was part of that same envelope, and then the same butterflies that these came from. And it's blank on the back in case, I don't know, I like to leave spots for writing. This is not removable, but it is a pocket, so if somebody wanted to put something in the window, they could. And then on the first page, I have, well, it's just a little pocket. Hang on, let me take everything. I don't know if I should take everything out. So I have a ticket, a little tag with a spot to write on it, spots to write on the back, and then another little ticket, and I kept the back blank, oh my gosh, so that I could write on it if I wanted to. And I put this pocket on this piece of paper so that I could add a tuck, and made a little journaling card with some trash and coffee dyed cardstock. There we are. So that way I could have 3 little spots for this page. And then page 2 has another little pocket. This one I did just with folding. I really like pockets that I can make out of just folding because I like to sit down in front of the TV and watch a show and just bring out all my scrap paper and fold. So this one is made out of tracing paper, and I just, did the thingy where you get the ink and the brush and what's that called? Distressing the edges. So I folded it, and I folded this down to make one little spot, and then folded this down to have another little spot, and then I folded this out to make another spot, and realistically I could even put something in here. So then I made another journaling card. I loved the fact that she was saying that you can just get like anything, and wherever it's blank, just use your scraps and collage on it. And so using scraps, but then like authing, like one ephemera thing, makes it, to me, was like, oh, okay, well, this looks like I did it purposefully, even though it's in my trash jar. And I think I mentioned this, but I have a little trash jar where anything that's really tiny scraps, just go ahead and stick it in here. Obviously, like, that's a big thing, but some of it mostly is all just trash jar things. So like this little piece, that'll end up in my trash jar. So I did that. So I made this journaling card. Put that here for ideas. It was an old tag I made one day when I was sitting in front of the TV and just making a bunch of tags. And I did not use a template or anything, so you can tell that the tops are uneven. And then a little paper pack because I was getting really excited about stamps, and I just wanted to do a bunch of little bitty kind of stamp collaging on my scraps, and I thought they'd be fun. So I have them to, just stick wherever if I want to later. So this little paper pack fits right in here. So that is why I don't have a spot for, or don't have anything in that pocket. I could stick the whole thing back here and then put another thing here, but I feel like that makes that page too thick and too clunky, and it feels heavy if I do that. So I wanted to keep it pretty, I felt like doing this kept it more balanced. So I had to do that little fold thing that she did. And I need to go in and fix and glue, but yeah, so I did it. I cut my strips, I distressed inked the edges. I added a little collage here using a die and a sticker, and then something I cut out of some cardstock. Used an old earring. I coffee dyed some white embroidery thread to give it this cream color. Cut out some circles and used some brads to make my circles. I also like to do it in between 2 circles because I feel like it helps me move the string better. Using scrap material to hold that in place. And then what I put inside was, oh goodness, a little band and then paper. I wanted to be able to take out the paper to write in it because I felt like it'd be too awkward if I was trying to, if I had glued it down and was trying to write in it like this. I thought that would be too weird. So I stuck it in a little belly band. And it also kept that all very flat, which I liked. You get back in there. Stop trying to run away. This is where you live now. Alright, so that is actually as far as I am, but that first video got too long and I'm gonna have to cut a lot of the dead time. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna try not to do that, but if you want me to do more real time of how I'm doing this, let me know. I'm not sure if anybody actually does want me to do that. If you want to see how I did it, you can. Cori Dahmen, Creating with Scraps, does have a very extensive series that has been going on that I've watched all of on how to do everything. I think the only difference is that some of the things that I do, I got more from the stationery and yeah, from the stationery community. And then there are some things that I'm gonna do that are more repurposing trash, just different ways to use trash that I keep collecting because I am a little trash collector. I hope this gives you some ideas, and if you've checked out Cori Dahmen's whole series, I hope that that inspired you and that you see that you're not the only one and want to share your creations too, because I'm really excited to see what other people make from that series. All right, thank you for watching.